I just can't stomach the fact that I have to live the rest of my life without my mom. My daughter has to live the rest of her life without her grandma because a coward wanted to take her life. My mom did not deserve this at all. My mother was a family-oriented person. She was my motivator, my best friend. She was the glue to this family. She was my guidance, my everything. I just can't live without her, and I can't imagine just living life without my mom.
He did not call for help. He did not check on her. He blocked her own daughter from reaching her. And then he picked up the phone and called 911 himself.
She contacted upstairs with the knife, so I recorded her again. She grabbed the phone out of my hand while I'm trying to record and took the knife and poked the screen and pushed the screen on the phone. And then she slid the phone. And then she comes out to me, so I'm running around the room. I jumped up down the bed, and when I jumped up down the bed, she tried to come down on me with the knife, so I grabbed her gun from under the mattress, and she jumped, she was trying to come out. I shot her, man. I couldn't get her, baby. I'm 59 pounds. Stop.
He made the call himself. He told the dispatcher he had just shot his fiancé. When officers arrived, he had one explanation: self-defense. And for 48 hours, that explanation was enough. He walked out of that house a free man. But here is what the investigation would later confirm. The firearm used that night was not his. It was hers, pulled from beneath her side of the mattress. His phone was recording the entire time. Not one video, not two. 3 separate recordings captured what happened inside that bedroom. And she was shot in the back. What he did not count on was that she had spent years quietly documenting everything he had done. Every incident, every message, every piece of evidence she had carefully preserved. And all of it was about to follow him into a courtroom. Welcome to the Crime Edition. Today we are covering the case of Amanda Williams, a 46-year-old woman from Warrensville Heights, Ohio, whose case gripped an entire community and sparked a conversation that is still going on today. Most channels covered the arrest. Most stopped at the verdict. We are going further because this case did not end its sentencing, and we have the update that changes everything. If this is your first time here, subscribe now. We follow every case from the crime through the courtroom all the way to the appeals court. And drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from. Now let's get into it. Amanda Sharon Williams was born and raised in the Cleveland area. She graduated from Shaw High School in 1995 and later earned her Bachelor of Science degree from Cleveland State University. By the time most people in Warrensville Heights knew her name, she had already built something real. She owned Alamode Styles, a salon in University Heights with a loyal client base that had been coming to her for years. She also launched her own product line, Charmaine Diamond Hair Extensions, and a product called Hair and Scalp Soufflé. She was not just a stylist, she was a business owner who would build something from the ground up. She was a mother. Her son, Tristan Bentley, and her daughter, Tyler Williams, 29, were both adults by 2023. Tyler and Tyler's 4-year-old daughter lived in the home with Amanda. Amanda was a grandmother. She was active in her church community and was a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Her brother, Joey Lewis, described her as someone who showed up for her family, for her clients, for anyone who needed her. By every account, Amanda Williams was present, dependable, and deeply connected to the people around her. But inside that house on Sunset Drive, something had been building for years. Tirrell Edwards was 42 years old and lived with Amanda in their shared home in Warrensville Heights. He worked at a hospital and also drove for Walmart on the side. By his own account on the stand, he and Amanda began dating in 2017. He moved into her home in 2019. They became engaged in 2022. When asked during the trial to describe their relationship before October 2023, Edwards told the jury it had been pretty good. The documented record said something different. In November 2020, Amanda was hospitalized following a physical incident involving Edwards. After she was discharged, she did not let it go quietly. She photographed her injuries, she kept her hospital records, and she saved the text messages, including a message from Edwards that same period where he acknowledged what had happened. Her reply to him was direct. She wrote that it would never be the same. She kept all of it. She stored it carefully, out of sight. Even Tyler, who lived in the same house, did not know it existed. That was not all. Edwards had previously been taken into custody in connection with a separate incident involving Amanda in 2019. A different woman had also sought a protective order against him around 2020, citing stalking and threatening behavior. By the time he proposed to Amanda in 2022, they were enrolled in premarital counseling. Edwards testified that they had just completed that counseling in the period before October 2023. He described their relationship as pretty good. The record disagreed. On October 8, 2023, Amanda traveled to Columbus for a hair industry convention. She was back home by the evening of October 9th. That same day, Edwards sent her a text message. She did not respond right away. According to testimony and his own statements to investigators, that delay triggered an argument that continued throughout the day. Amanda then suspended his cell phone line. Edwards obtained a new number and kept sending messages. By the time both were home that evening, the tension had not settled. Amanda told him to leave. He began pulling his belongings from the closet, but he did not go. Edwards later testified that Amanda told him directly if he stayed in that house that night, he would have to sleep with one eye open. He went to his car. Investigators later established that he retrieved 2 firearms from the bedroom and placed them in his vehicle. He could have driven away at that point. Instead, he came back inside. According to Edwards' own trial testimony, the argument continued and eventually moved toward the bedroom. He testified that at some point Amanda retrieved a kitchen knife. He said he felt cornered. He said he was afraid. He told the jury she cut off his path to the door and came toward him. He pulled out his phone and began recording. 3 separate videos captured what followed inside that room. The first 2 videos showed snippets of the confrontation as it was escalating. In one of those videos, Amanda can be seen holding a knife and then placing it down on a ledge in the hallway before walking toward him. The third video captured the sounds of what happened next, but not the shooting itself, as the camera was obstructed. What investigators confirmed through the physical evidence was this: Amanda Williams was shot 6 times, resulting in 8 wounds. The fatal wounds were to her neck and her back. She was shot in the back. The medical examiner would later testify that one of those wounds alone would have left her physically incapable of holding anything in her hands. Edwards did not call for medical help. He did not render any aid to Amanda. When Tyler came downstairs, Edwards physically blocked her from reaching her mother. Then he called 911. He told the dispatcher he had just killed his fiancé. Officers from the Warrensville Heights Police Department arrived at 19700 Sunset Drive at approximately 11:41 p.m. Amanda Williams was transported to Cleveland Clinic South Point Hospital, where she was pronounced deceased. As officers placed Edwards into the back of a police cruiser that night, he made a statement that no one asked him for. Unprompted, he told the officer sitting nearby, "I just threw my life away." When investigators examined him, they found a small tear in his shirt and a light scratch on his neck. He was otherwise uninjured. Edwards told the responding officers it was self-defense. He said Amanda had attacked him with a knife and he had no choice. Under Ohio law, a self-defense claim introduces a legal burden that requires the prosecution to disprove it beyond a reasonable doubt. The Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office reviewed the case and determined that on the night of October 9th, there was insufficient evidence to file charges immediately. Edwards was held for 48 hours and released on October 11th, 2023. The news moved fast. Amanda's mother, Jewel Lewis, stood outside the Warrensville Heights Police Department. She told reporters she would spend the rest of her life knowing she was not there for her daughter in her final moments. Tyler spoke publicly. She said she wanted justice and that she did not feel safe. Joey Lewis addressed the press and told them Amanda had an entire community behind her and they were going to pursue accountability through every channel available to them. Pastor R.A. Vernon of the Word Church stepped forward and described to reporters what he understood about the relationship. A cycle of harm, followed by apology, repeated throughout the course of their time together. Family attorney Ian Friedman, a Marcy's Law advocate, was brought in to represent the Williams family. And Nanaka Slay Jackson of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority spoke publicly on Amanda's behalf, stating the life of her sorority sister mattered, and they would not stop until justice was delivered. If you have been following this case and you want every update the moment it drops, subscribe to the Crime Edition right now. We covered this from the night of the incident all the way through the appeals court ruling, and we are not done yet. 2 weeks after Amanda's passing, the family held a press conference. Ian Friedman stood before the cameras and presented the evidence Amanda had quietly assembled over years. The photographs from the 2020 hospitalization, the hospital records, the text messages from Edwards, including his own written words from that period acknowledging what he had done. Her final message back to him, that it would never be the same. All of it had been sitting in storage, unseen by nearly everyone who knew her. Friedman delivered the full package, the personal documentation, the medical records, the text exchanges, the 3 cell phone videos from the night of October 9th, and the medical examiner's preliminary findings to investigators and to the Cuyahoga County Grand Jury. On November 1, 2023, the grand jury returned its indictment. Tirrell Edwards was charged with 1 count of aggravated murder, 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of felonious assault, and 1 count of domestic violence. An arrest warrant was issued. The Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office announced publicly that their investigation had led them to one conclusion: the death of Amanda Williams was an intentional act without legal justification. At the time the warrant was issued, Edwards had not yet turned himself in. Prosecutor Michael O'Malley urged him publicly to come forward. On November 3, 2023, Edwards turned himself in. He was arraigned at the Cuyahoga County Justice Center and held on a $1 million bond. 10 days after Amanda passed, her homegoing service was held at the Word Church in Warrensville Heights. Pastor R.A. Vernon presided. Hundreds of people attended: sorority sisters, clients, neighbors, members of the community who had known her, and those who had only recently learned her name. Her family sat through every moment of that service and then continued showing up publicly because they understood that grief and accountability are not the same thing, and only one of them would deliver justice. The trial of Tirrell Edwards began February 26, 2024, with jury selection before Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Judge Stephen Gall at the Cuyahoga County Justice Center in downtown Cleveland. Judge Gall ruled that no live streaming of the proceedings would be permitted. The prosecution was led by Assistant Prosecutor Kevin Filiatrout. The defense was represented by attorney Andy Petropoulias. On February 27th, opening statements began. Filiatrout told the jury directly this trial would come down to whether Edwards used self-defense legitimately or whether he planned out what he did. The defense countered that the evidence would show Amanda came at Edwards with a knife and that he acted to protect himself. Tyler Williams, 29, was among the first witnesses called. She testified about what she heard from upstairs that night, the argument escalating below, her presence in the home with her 4-year-old daughter, and what she witnessed when she came downstairs. Responding officers also testified, including Officer Christopher Jordan, the first officer to enter the residence, and Officer John Vidic, whose vehicle Edwards was placed in after police arrived, the same vehicle where Edwards made his unprompted statement. Body camera footage and cruiser footage were both played for the jury. Tyler's 911 call was entered into evidence. On February 28th, Deputy Medical Examiner Dr. Elizabeth Mooney took the stand. She testified that the cause of Amanda Williams' death was gunshot wounds and that the manner of death was homicide. She confirmed the wounds to Amanda's neck and her back, and she confirmed that one of those wounds alone would have left Amanda physically unable to hold any object. That testimony was a direct challenge to the self-defense claim. DNA analyst Lisa Moore from the Cuyahoga County Regional Forensic Science Laboratory followed. She testified about the knife recovered at the scene. DNA testing on the knife handle identified a match to Amanda Williams. When the defense asked Moore directly whether she could place Tirrell Edwards' DNA on the knife, her answer was no. No match to Edwards was found on either the handle or the blade. The prosecution's argument was precise. The knife evidence established that Amanda had handled the knife, but it did not support the claim that she was actively threatening Edwards at the moment he fired. Also at trial, ballistics expert Kristen Koth and trace evidence expert Curtis Jones from the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office testified, adding forensic depth to the physical evidence recovered from the scene. On February 29th, the jury watched Tirrell Edwards' police interrogation recording in full with Lieutenant Paris Johnson of the Warrensville Heights Police Department, the lead investigator on the case, seated on the stand. Filiatro used that session to walk the jury through the inconsistencies in Edwards' own words. In one portion of the interrogation, Detective Gregory Curry asked Edwards directly about his guns. He asked whether Edwards had told an officer the night before that he moved the firearms to his car because he was afraid of what he might do. Edwards denied it on the recording. He told the detective no. He said he moved them because Amanda had told him he would have to sleep with one eye open. Filiatro paused the footage and turned to Lieutenant Johnson. He asked Johnson whether Edwards had in fact told an officer that he moved his guns so he would not use them. Johnson confirmed he had. Two different explanations, both from the same man, on the same night. The prosecution also played cell phone video from inside the residence. Filiatro pointed out to the jury that at no point in any of the recordings did Edwards warn Amanda that he was armed. He never told her to stop. He never said, "I have your gun, put the knife down." Not once. On March 1st, 2024, Edwards took the stand in his own defense. He told the jury he and Amanda started arguing because she had not responded to his texts and then canceled his phone line. He said the situation escalated when she began throwing his clothes on the floor and demanding he leave. He said she went for a knife. He said she blocked him from leaving the room. He said he was scared. He told the jury, "I just shot rapidly. I was scared. She had me so scared with that knife." Under cross-examination, Filiatro pressed him point by point. Edwards confirmed he did not warn Amanda he had her gun. He confirmed he did not ask her to put the knife down. He confirmed he did not call for help after she was on the floor. When asked why he stopped Tyler from reaching her mother, Edwards said he did not want Tyler to see Amanda that way. Closing arguments were delivered the same day. Jury deliberations began the following Monday. On March 1st, 2024, the jury returned its verdict. Guilty, 2 counts of murder. Guilty, 2 counts of felonious assault. Guilty, 1 count of domestic violence. Not guilty on the charge of aggravated murder. Prosecutor Michael O'Malley stated that the evidence had conclusively proven that Amanda Williams' death was an intentional act without legal justification, and that a jury of citizens from Cuyahoga County had reached that same conclusion. 1 week later, on March 11, 2024, Tirrell Edwards stood before Judge Stephen Gall for sentencing. Several dozen supporters filled the courtroom. Many of them had submitted written letters to the judge ahead of that day. All 5 counts were merged for sentencing purposes, with the sentence focused on count 2, murder. The firearm specifications attached to the charges added an additional 9 years to the required minimum time before any possibility of parole. Judge Gall sentenced Tirrell Edwards to life in prison with the first possibility of parole after 24 years. Edwards was given the opportunity to address the court. He said nothing. Joey Lewis spoke first on behalf of the family. He told the court what Amanda's absence means for the children left behind, growing up in the space where she used to be. After sentencing, he stepped outside and told reporters, "We got what we can get. We are satisfied and we can begin to heal." Tyler Williams spoke next. She told the court that her daughter, Amanda's granddaughter, would grow up without ever truly knowing her grandmother. Attorney Ian Friedman then read a statement on behalf of Amanda's son, Tristan Bentley. Bentley said that holidays were always important to his mother, that she was the light in the room, and now every holiday has a void where that light used to be. Prosecutor Kevin Filiatrout addressed the courtroom after the sentence was delivered. He said he had felt the love for Amanda behind him every single day of that trial. He encouraged anyone in a relationship with unresolved issues to reach out to people who could help. Now, here is the update that most channels never covered. After his conviction, Tirrell Edwards filed an appeal with the 8th District Court of Appeals of Ohio. His legal team raised multiple arguments. They argued ineffective assistance of counsel. They argued prosecutorial misconduct, specifically challenging the use of the 2020 text messages as evidence, claiming they constituted prior bad acts that should not have been admitted under Ohio Evidence Rule 404B. They also challenged the use of Thomas Ciela, a qualified video expert from the Cleveland Division of Police, who was brought in by the prosecution to present and clarify the cell phone footage for the jury. The 8th District Court of Appeals reviewed every argument. On February 28, 2025, the court issued its ruling. Case citation, State v. Edwards, 2025-Ohio-641. The judgment was affirmed. Every argument raised by Edwards' legal team was rejected. The conviction stands. The sentence stands. Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Michael O'Malley responded to the ruling with a statement. He said, Tirrell Edwards purposefully murdered Amanda Williams and tried to utilize a false self-defense claim to cover up his actions. The 8th District Court of Appeals' unanimous decision upholding his conviction and sentence affirms that. As of 2025, Tirrell Edwards remains in prison. He will not be eligible for parole consideration for 24 years. Amanda Williams spent years documenting what was happening to her, quietly, carefully, without telling the people closest to her. She preserved text messages, medical records, and photographs that most people never would have thought to keep. She could not have known exactly what those records would one day be used for. But when the time came, they became the foundation of the case that held her killer accountable. Her case is one of thousands. Melissa Graves, CEO of the Journey Center for Safety and Healing in Cuyahoga County, has noted that her organization supports tens of thousands of individuals dealing with relationship violence annually in that region alone. Amanda's story is not isolated, but the way she documented her experience and the way her family fought to ensure that documentation was heard made all the difference in how this case ended. Do you think 24 years before parole eligibility is enough for what Tirrell Edwards did? Tell us in the comments. We want to know what you think. And if this case mattered to you, subscribe to the Crime Edition. We follow every case from the first report all the way through the appeals process. We do not stop at the verdict, because the story is rarely over when the gavel comes down. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next one.